In America, we're split on just about anything. Is cereal cold soup? Is water wet? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We must really have intellectuals in this generation. But while there are many split issues in America, there is one that has more people misinformed and confused more than any other. Confederate flags and monuments. In June of this year, the Confederate flag was finally banned from being flown over NASCAR races. 1 month after, the flag was already seen over 2 different races. Andrew Jackson, 7th President of America, can be seen monumented here in Missouri. Nathan Bedford Forrest can be seen monumented in many different areas, including his own park. Now, if you go see the grand tourist attraction for yourself, you may run into people defend it like it's the Holy Grail. Now, the Civil War had a high impact on our country, but that still doesn't really answer the question for today. Do we openly support the Confederacy in America? To answer this question, we will first look at the history of the CSA. We will then look at the reasons for secession and finally racist intent. The Confederate States of America were 11 southern states that seceded from the Union in 1860. They started their own separate government and waged war against the Union to be defeated in 1865. Some things to keep in mind is that the CSA was never a country. In order for that to happen, they needed to be recognized as one first. They were instead considered a breakaway state. Now, some things to keep in mind is that secede means to formally withdraw from membership of a federal union, allegiance, or political group. Defeat means to win a battle against or overcome or beat. The CSA lost the Civil War. There were many reasons why they decided to secede. An article on the Confederate States of America written by Adam Augustine states that convinced their way of life based on slavery was irretrievably threatened by the election of Abraham Lincoln. 7 states of the Deep South, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas seceded for the following months. 4 states state their intentions in the Declarations of Causes, different documents written by Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, and South Carolina that try to justify the secession of the southern states. When reading these documents, they make it very clear that slavery was a main objective. When the North refused to enforce the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, an act that forced fugitive slaves going north be returned to the South, they were outraged and turned against the federal government. The icing on the cake was when Lincoln and his abolitionist views got elected, in Texas being dissatisfied with the federal military protection. So now that we know their reason for secession, let's look at modern day. We still see many of monuments to commemorate the history of the Confederacy in America. Ladies and gentlemen, these monuments were not built to show our history. They were built as systemic racism and oppression symbols. Let me explain. Nathan Bedford Forrest, a man who made a fortune as a slave trader and the original Grand Wizard of the KKK, can be seen monumented in many different areas in the South. Now, Jeffrey Robinson explains that there were many different spikes and timelines that these monuments were being built. One of the spikes was from late 1800s to early 1921. What was happening during this time? Blacks were being lynched by the hundreds. Another thing that happened during 1921 was the Tulsa riots. Another was the Dixiecrat Party in 1948. This was the second spike. The Dixiecrat Party was started by a man named Strom Thurmond. His goal was for segregation. A quote from Roy Harris in 1951 states, "Convinced, the Confederate flag is coming to mean something to everybody now. It means the heart throbs of the people of the South. It is becoming the Southern cause and the cause of the Southern people. The Confederate flag means segregation." So now that we know about modern day, let's talk about red flags. Now these red flags are their reasons, are their ideals, the Confederate ideals. Now a lot of people believe that their ideals were amazing. And to me, it shows that America is very divided. Now, one of their red flags was they wanted to limit our freedom of speech, censoring anything that would advocate for the abolition of slavery. That indeed is a red flag. They also wanted to limit democracy, restricting voting only to people who own land. You all know we live in democracy, right? So yes, that is a red flag. They also wanted to limit freedom of press, threatening and banning any papers if it went against their ideals. Now, can anybody tell me what color that flag is? I'll wait. Oh, I'm talking into a camera. Yeah, if you said red, you are correct. So this is our effects on modern day. So that finally leads us to our conclusion. Should we be openly supportive of the Confederacy in America? And to be honest, that's not a question that I can answer for you. We have freedoms in America to believe in whatever we want, and that's what makes it so cool. What you really need to ask yourself and remember is how far your freedoms then become hate, and how far that hate goes. I really hope that all of the information that has been given to you today can help you make better judgments in your life decisions. As I conclude this speech, I would like to end off on a very important quote by Martin Luther King Jr. that explains our problems of the modern day. There is nothing in all of the world that is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Thank you.